Well, hopefully running in the last leg of the first jackpot, which will be race number 8, and that will be over 1,200 meters. And this is where jackpot 1 will close. 1,200 meters. How do we see the race here, Warren? Because last time out, She's a Keeper was a very strong selection for yourself and mine when we did the show, which was scheduled to be run at Scottsville, and she was unfortunately scratched that day. But when I assess the positioning of her against this field compared to what she was facing at Scottsville, I think this is stronger. And she's got a poor draw to overcome. And I can add to that when I looked up her form lines, from her debut run, 32 runners in total, no winners. From her last start behind Big Sky Country, 8 runners in total, no winners. Form lines not looking too good. But all she could do was what they put in front of her to beat them, which she's done. We'll see how good she is. She's a keeper. I'm not off her. She will be included in all bets, but she is not my top choice. I'm going to tell you that I found a horse to follow here.
Talk to us, please.
Number 3, See My Vision for Robbie Hill. And I'll give you some reasoning behind my thought process. She hasn't won for 731 days. Negative, big negative. But then you look at her rating. No horse has achieved a higher rating in this field than what she has, 95. And she's always dropped down to a 71. So while she hasn't been winning for a long, long time, the handicap has been helpful. And I think she looks ready to win now because she's had 3 runs in the province. Robbie Hill, professional outfit, stables in good form. They would have got to the bottom of things. She's a one-time winner for some time, but she was just too high up in the rating. She's nicely drawn at 3. We'll wait for the jockey replacement unless you got it.
You get even more excited now because she's going to have 4 kgs off her back, Gabriel Peterson.
Great. I mean, that even helps. So you can add another 8 pounds to the rating drop.
Thank you.
So don't think that she's a difficult ride, having watched her here in KZN. She is one of my horses to follow. But again, a tricky race. Do you have a fancy?
Like you, not an outright fancy because, it is a tricky race. I think we're in for an exciting finish. We're in for an exciting event. To rattle through a couple, Magnetic Dime, number 1, brings Cape Town form into the race. You've got to keep an eye on her. Simply Russian absolutely took off last time to finish 3rd to Free State Style. You've mentioned See My Vision. Purple Moon's up, number 5. Clearly has ability, lightly raced, good form. We're not going to ignore number 6, Kalula, on that last run. Big Sky Country showing ability. You've touched on She's a Keeper, and I was very impressed with number 12, Intuitive, when she won the maidens. I think you and I worked together that day, or it may have been Sheldon, but this horse certainly impressed me. She absolutely trotted up. So she could be anything. Those look to be the principal contenders. Yes, there's a lot of them, but the race is that difficult. And for me, do not leave number 14, Palmart, out of the back end of quartets. But tough. You've pointed us in the direction of number 3, See My Vision. If I was asked for a first choice, could be narrowly number 12, Intuitive.
Well, you've touched on the majority of the field, suggesting that it looks to be a very tough race to try and get through the exotics. But I'm going to still say that To See My Vision will represent the value in the race, one of the horses to follow. Don't leave this out. Intuitive is the horse that Warren's leaning towards as an outright choice. And I think if the pace is on, if this was a 1,400-meter race, I would have no doubt my top choice would have been Simply Russian. So I'm hoping that the pace is on for God Puller's runner because it's now dropping to a 1,200. And Simply Russian can turn on the speed. So if I have to give you a top choice, it'll be horse number 2, Simply Russian. If the pace is on and everything goes according to plan, I think she'll be doing her best work at the finish. And she may be too strong over the final 200 meters for this field. But keep an eye on See My Vision. Keep an eye on market support as well. That's usually a fair indication. As Warren mentioned, a positive as well. Whilst we don't have Donovan Dillon, who's sadly injured, we got a claim 4 in Gabriel Peterson on horse number 3.